Hey guys, Stealth here. Time for a bit of Wargame Landshut Mechanized. This replay was sent in by Death Chart, so we're going to be looking at whatever he is going to do in this game. You can see it is this very large map, which sometimes I think is a bit too large for 3v3s, but 4v4s and bigger, or at least more players, could work just fine. The thing with the map is that you have so many zones that you need to be looking at that it's hard to pinpoint one attack location or to gather enough points to actually attack somewhere. But we're going to see how Death Charge is going to do this. As I briefly mentioned, he's pushing in with a Landshut mechanized deck. That means he has both the armies of West Germany and Denmark at his disposal. You're going to see he's pushing in with quite a few Marder 2s here, 4 of them already. Command vehicle, some supporting transports. And back here there are a couple of helicopters with command infantry and recon infantry. I briefly watched this replay and I'm seeing something very interesting here. A Command Leopard 2 by Maverick. This is a tank that you don't really often see. I personally almost never use it, only when I'm going into a heavily contested area, and that's exactly what you're going to see this tank do. So I'm going to pinpoint that out, or point that out when we see it. Other units here are a couple of CH-53Gs and a Lynx, so this is recon, and my bet is that this would be a Fallschirmjäger 90 to quickly capture terrain and then wait for either this force to catch up or the other force there. And of course, he is spawning both helicopter groups over the trees, over the forests here, to make sure that they're actually in the air. If you keep them on the ground, you're going to have to go through the takeoff animation. So let's speed this up a little bit, make sure that we actually get towards the part where the battle starts. This is something that I wouldn't really do, by the way, having a Command Leopard in the back there. I think that this was not so great coordination between the two of them. Oh, actually, never mind. This one's going towards Bravo. But Command Leopard 2s are, as far as I'm concerned, better used in more aggressive or more contested zones, because these things carry a ton of armor. 15 front, 6 on the side, 4 on the back and 3 on the top. They got a pretty significant cannon on there, the L-44. And with that weapon you can actually kill off quite a few other units, but again, it's not really what you want to do. In the meanwhile, Death Charge has managed to capture this terrain. I think that this was just a queued order because the command infantry is just out there. Very weak position. It's bringing in some big news. If you're unfamiliar with this unit, it's, as far as I'm concerned, not really a great unit in ship-to-ship combat, but with that main gun you can actually do quite a bit of damage towards close targets near the shore. You can see that the Mark 34 has a range of 2800 meters, terrible accuracy, but what you do have on these things is interesting long-range missiles. On the front line here we got the Spiderene, or I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, sorry if I'm not, Denmark. Recon infantry, command infantry, no, this is Fallschirmjäger 90 who are capturing these buildings. And with these guys he has quite significant anti-infantry and anti-vehicle stopping force. Some backup here with what looks like ATGMs, and in the front here the Marders are pushing up. I hope that he's going to move that CV to safety, otherwise he might get it destroyed. Some Jaeger here in the buildings to hold this town. And this is exactly what I would use Jaeger for. The Jaegers themselves are not great infantrymen, they're just regular guys, 10 pointers. They do have a pretty good anti-tank weapon, but other than that, just keep them in towns as a holding force and make sure you use your Panzer Grenadiers in combination with Marders and a Kyler here as an offensive force. Liftguard 85 are pretty similar to, or actually they're not similar at all, sorry. The Jaeger are pretty basic. These guys, the Liftgarden 85 or the Lieugarden, I believe I'm supposed to pronounce it. Shock troops, very good weapons on them. Especially the Carl Gustaf M3 is going to wreck pretty much any vehicle that it comes into contact with. In the meanwhile, the Leopard 2, the Command Leopard, has arrived here. This is what I want to point out. If you are engaging in a very heavily contested zone like this one, because this is usually where quite a bit of conflict takes place, Having a command leopard will make it a lot easier for your command unit to actually survive. Yes, it's an investment of 170 points, but you could argue that it's better to invest 170 points once than having to invest 2 times, say 110 or 120 points in command vehicle. So with this, he at least neutralizes the enemy command position, making sure that nobody has Juliet at this stage and that Red 4 does not get an advantage in income. Red 4, by the way, is gaining quite an advantage here. We got GCO Commander, and that's the guy with all the helicopters here and the grenadiers. He has already gained quite a few points, and Blue 4 is lagging a little bit behind. Now, there you go, there's the first kill. And this first kill was made by the Big New. I've never actually seen this or even considered it, but he's using the Big New as a sort of long-range missile platform, which is extremely clever because they are cheaper compared to when you have to buy 2 long-range anti-air systems. They are a lot more survivable and they carry more missiles. So this is definitely something I will be copying. And if you are going to be using any kind of unit or any kind of naval units on a map like this, I suggest you copy it too, because this is a great play. Bit of an engagement here in the middle. T-80BV just got killed by the Leopard 2s here. T-72B1s, T-80BVs. We got possibly an armored deck here. Although, looking at their veterancy, which is only 3, I'd say probably not. I think that they would have been 4 veterancy, so veteran or elite. Bit of a clash here between Fallschirmjäger and VDV, and you can see that the Fallschirmjäger, of course, being entrenched gives them a much stronger position here. They only lost 1 guy and the VDV lost 20, so these infantry are not to be messed with. As I had expected, command infantry is now safe, and this +4 gives them a solid advantage in income. If Red 4 can capture that Juliet and make sure that these leopards die, or that this command leopard dies, then he has a pretty equal income. But right now they can absolutely gain that advantage, so long as they stop losing points. I think that in the middle here he's pulling back his wounded tanks as far as they're still alive, because there were quite a few leopards there, but most of them went down by the looks of it. And yeah, this was unexpected. He is using an armored deck, and you can see that by the extreme veterancy on the Leopard 2. There's a Leopard 2A5 coming in, also very highly trained, and normally this would be a lower trained unit. It wouldn't be this veteran. Let's see what's going on here. We've got Lynx, who's just doing a sort of scouting run here. I think he's just trying to draw attention to the Lynx, which is an interesting move, because the Lynx is empty and it's just a 25-point transport helicopter. But they don't know that. If you can fool your enemy into thinking that you've dropped off reconnaissance infantry here, you could have them busy all game trying to find this infantry while it's not there. And that is going to keep your enemy distracted, making sure that with that distraction you can actually push up in areas where it really counts, where you actually have forces. So, a bit of cloak and dagger there. I think it's very funny to do, just to mess with their heads. And it does work, so keep it in mind as a future tactic. Meanwhile, we got a clash again with some VDVs here. By the looks of it, the VDVs are not really doing that well. And that's also because the VDV are not as highly veteranized or veteraned as the Leeuwarden. You can see that these guys, due to the mechanized deck of Death Charge, get a bit of a veterancy bonus, and that veterancy bonus does show itself. You're going to see that these guys are a lot more effective. And in the meanwhile, Death Charge is pushing up nicely here with quite a few forces. Personally, I would have also taken these Leeuwarden with me, just to make sure that I got those guys at the front line, where they can do the most damage. He has 2 groups of Jaeger here. I would move 1 group of Jaeger there. just to hold them off as a sort of stopping force there. And the other Jaeger, possibly split them up into 2 groups to make sure I can capture a bit of these buildings so that a flank attack is not likely to happen. Garden here taking quite a beating. Yep, they lost 1 group there, but the VDVs are all but extinct. So that's another group of VDVs done. And by the looks of it, he didn't take that much damage here. But what he is lacking is AA. He has 1 automatic, which is active, so it can be targeted by seed. And yeah, here we go. We got an MI8 coming in from Outlasted. And that's possibly reinforcements. So hopefully the Marder 2s with their autocannons can thin these guys out a little bit before they hit the ground. And I mean hit the ground as in drop off their transports, because by the looks of it, they're going to hit the ground anyway, but rather in a different manner. Very, very unfortunate optic failure here. One of these Marder 2s is now blind. That means that it cannot defend itself against these incoming MI8s. So this automatic now has to push up, and it has to take out these units quickly. Unfortunately, it's stuck behind the building, so it doesn't have line of sight. You can see it's trying to get position and trying to get eyes on this target. And I think it's going to be opening up any second now. Come on. Thing is, it cannot elevate its gun high enough yet to engage these targets. But by the looks of it, they've all been taken out. And they were probably taken out by a combination of the infantry and the Marders, possibly the Kyler with its autocannon. Another helicopter came in, got shot down instantly by the automatic here. And you're going to see some more Foshamyga 90 being brought in here. Some very, very nice artillery targets here. Very expensive dual group of Tunguskars. These things are not very sturdy, so don't keep 170 points with another 85 points in front of it just sitting there. And that makes me believe that this guy is possibly less experienced, or he is micromanaging some other part of the battlefield. And by this point, by the way, Blue 4 has actually gotten more points than Red 4, so they are making quite a comeback. And Death Charge is leading in points. Or sorry, he's not leading. Equinox is leading in points. Just by a little bit. These Panzer Grenadiers versus the VDVs, I don't think they're going to win. So a Marder 2 is coming in to assist. And this is absolutely the right thing to do. Pull these guys out. Make sure you can heal up those Panzer Grenadiers, because they are quite expensive. 25 points each. If you lose 2 groups, that's 50 points. Especially considering that they were brought in Marder 2s, you're going to be paying another 70 points for transports. So if you can heal these guys up, definitely try and do that. It's okay to fall back at sometimes. Bit of airstriking coming in from this flank. Let's see what they're going to try and hit. I think they're going for the Liu Garden here by Equinox. And these are, of course, napalm bombers. So what we're going to see here is probably force suppression. Yep, there you go. Major forced fire here, with the Liu Garden and the 113s caught right in the middle. So I have very little hope of most of these guys making it out alive. In the meanwhile, this guy just keeps sending units. Now a Cheongju 2, and it gets taken out very, very quickly by the Marder 2. What I would do here, personally, is also bring in some heavier material. He only has 1 Kyler. And if the enemy decides to push back with tanks, those Marder 2s, while they can take a hit, cannot take on a tank directly. So the Marder 2s are going to go down. Panzer Grenadiers have short range. Automatic can do something against tanks, but it is not very heavily armored. So I would try to get in something like a Leopard 1A5 or some sort of supporting anti-tank force. You can see that he is pushing up with the Bake News and the STRB-90. This, by the way, is a great anti-tank unit. If you're unfamiliar with the unit, it looks a bit like a speedboat, and it really is, but it's a speedboat that's armed to the teeth. This thing carries a grenade launcher, that's the one that you can see on the middle, a bunch of dual M2 Brownings, that's the guns on the sides, and here in the back you got a Hellfire launcher, and this thing can take out pretty much any tank with 1 or 2 missiles. So having one of those, and as well with a Fennec TOW 2 nearby, will make it so that he can take on tanks and deter tank threats. Foshamyga 90 big nope towards the BTR 70. Those things don't stand a chance if you got Fallschirmjägers in a very, very covered position like this. One thing that I'm getting slightly worried about though is his supply status. These Marders are going out of fuel, as well as the Kyler, and as well as the Marder 2 here. Not only that, but they're also running out of ammo. They're running very low on shells. You can see another clash between low veterancy VDVs and elite Fallschirmjägers is going majorly in the advantage of the Fallschirmjäger. So much so that this was a group of 30. They only lost 2 guys, and this is without a solid cover position such as a building. And now it's just hunting down transports. More Fallschirmjäger pushing up. Again, I suppose you could say that the Leeuwgarden could have moved. Fallschirmjäger 90 killing off some Iglas here, and that's something that I was expecting. Outlasted surrendered because he was losing too many units, and he probably went, well, to hell with this, I'm going to do something else. And by the looks of it, Outlasted only got 214 points, and I think Death Charge got most of his points off of Outlasted, so I'm thinking Outlasted is a newer player. But then again, this is the way to learn. Just play the game and see what you're doing wrong or what you could have done better. So Outlasted, if you're watching the game, I hope you're learning something from my commentary. Danger close torpedo, tornado bomber coming in, trying to bomb the Spetsnaz, but slightly missed. It did hit the T-72B1 though. But still, Spetsnaz versus a Jaeger, that's not really in the favor of the Jaegers, because with these guys, you have that RPO Rice, and that RPO Rice will eat any kind of infantry alive. Tornado came in, knocked out some radar-guided AA, and did not take a single hit. Meanwhile, more VDVs are pushing up, and now GCO Commander also has to pay attention to this flank. He also has some units over here, so what we're going to see here is very divided attention between GCO Commander, because he has to pay attention to defending this flank and trying to counterattack here. And of course, what I would try to do here is try to do a bombing run, because with those napalm bombers you can really inflict some damage on the Fallschirmjäger. If it wasn't for the fact that those annoying Bake News have showed up. And there you go. That's one kill by the Bake News, 140 points. Let me stress that. These things cost 75 points each. They already shot down an Su-25T for 140 points, or an Su-25 variant for 140. They just kill off another 140 point plane, and they are likely to kill off this napalm bomber. So that's another 100 points. So I gotta say, this is some really impressive gameplay, and this is something that I will be using. Let's see if he can also get the MiG. MiG made it out unharmed. Also, these platforms are a lot more mobile than any kind of AA unit that you can transport on the ground. By that I mean it has a speed of 27 knots, which is pretty fast. It means that the ship can actually make it through or make it to new positions quickly, as well as a sailing class of coaster. It means that it can get up to the bridges, and that's pretty much as far as you need to go. You don't need to push very much farther. STRB-90H, by contrast, can actually move all the way inland. You could park that thing all the way there in the map if you wanted to. And you're going to see some of that ATGM action right now. Unfortunately, he just missed him as the tanks crossed the bridge. And now the Bake News are also engaging. An ATGM there hit the T-72B1. And they are taking a bit of return fire, which did quite some damage to the STRB-90. This is the problem with the STRB-90. Strength of 40. Your average ATGM on these T-72B1s, sorry, not the T-72B1s, these things don't carry ATGMs, but the average ATGM does 20 points of damage. So this little speedboat can only take 2 hits before it's going to go down. The Bake News have quite a bit more hit points. They have 80 hit points, or 80 strength, whatever you want to call it. And with this you're at least a little bit more survivable. So I suppose you could say this is the most survivable AA unit that he has deployed so far. I'm rather surprised that this Buck M1 by Outlasted hasn't been attacked yet, because it would be a perfect artillery target. And here, unfortunately, these Marders are taking fire from ATGMs. There's another one. I don't think that Death Charge yet. Now he realized what's going on. He's pulling him back. Still, that cost him one 35-point unit. But then again, some of these things just cannot be prevented. As I wasn't paying attention, something happened in the middle that caused this Leopard 2 to pull out, and Death Charge is pushing in with Stabsdaling, which is a command infantry. So they are also going to take command over Juliet. And since they've pushed out Red 4 out of Lima, Red 4 now only has an income of 1 from India, 6 from Gulf, and 1 from Foxtrot, which is divided over 2 players. So you're going to be seeing an income of 4 points per second per player. It's not a lot, especially if you're seeing what these guys are up against. It's a very, very significant and by now mostly elite force. Yes, they have some units that are weakened, that need resupplying, but that is in progress. So Red 4 at this stage, I suppose you could say should be giving up, or at least has little to no hope of coming back to this. Especially since they're also 1500 points or 1600 points behind Blue 4 now. There goes the AA unit. Maverick scores the kill with the Tornado ECR. And some more Fallschirmjäger 90. There's a lot of those guys in this match. Are getting their ass handed to them by Spetsnaz. Spetsnaz is pretty much one of the few units that Fallschirmjäger 90 do not do well against. With that napalm launcher, it's very, very difficult to counter Spetsnaz with other infantry. The same goes for Legions, or the Legion 90s with their napalm launcher. So if you see Spetsnaz or Legions, make sure you have an infantry transport nearby, because a Marder would easily eat the Spetsnaz without taking any points of damage. ATGMs are being brought in here to try and suppress any kind of infantry, or sorry, incoming tank that you're going to see here. That's a bit of a waste. F-16 MLU probably went after the tanks, but instead it decided to fire 2 anti-tank missiles at a 5-point transport. So let's see if it's going to kill anything else. For now it's just circling here. By the time those tanks show up, yeah, there's a group of tanks, but I'm not sure if he's going to go for that. And of course this plane is running out of fuel rather quickly. No, he's not going to go for it. He's going to run out of fuel. Because by the time that he is going to engage that ADBV, I think he's going to run out and evac. He just might make it. Missiles away. Tank killed. 120 points. Nice. And just as the plane went bingo. Completely out of fuel. With all these transports here, another unit that would be interesting in this location is the Marder VTS-1. The VTS-1 is a cheap 25-point anti-vehicle unit. I'm saying anti-vehicle, it's not an anti-tank unit. It doesn't really do a very good job against that, but against transports, against IFVs, it can usually one-shot them. And they're reasonably accurate as well. Some Leo 2A1s are pushing up in the middle. Again, Death Charge's units are working in tandem with Maverick here. And together they can at least suppress those Spetsnaz and force them back to make sure that this zone is going to stay under the control of Blue 4. Interesting setup here, by the way. This, to me, is asking for a major strike. 2 Leopard 2A5s is a very, very big investment of 340 points. They are not easy to kill. They are very good at killing themselves. And I don't mean suicide, but I mean taking out other vehicles. And especially tanks, of course. But the problem is that some cluster bombing, some smirching here on this area could take out a lot of points. And that's why I personally always prefer to split these tanks up into 2 groups. Something's going on here, by the way. I'm not sure what it is, but something just got completely obliterated. Possibly anti or counter artillery. And I think they took out a Becan 1C there. Some more transports coming in. I'm not sure why Death Charge isn't repairing that Marder currently. That would be a major help here, because he could easily wipe out those BDR-80s. Niwa long-range AA coming in. And that's a bit of a waste, spending a Hellfire missile on 5-point transport. I'm saying it's a waste because you don't need that stopping power, and yes, it's a kill, but it's an expensive kill, supply-wise, and that's always something that I'm looking at. Can I justify this kill by my supplies? Because Hellfires, especially Fire and Forget Hellfires, and luckily these aren't that, these are semi-active, so they're slightly less expensive, are very, very resource intensive. The Hellfire Apache, for example, the Longbow Recon, is going to take up a lot of supplies to get that thing rearmed. And same goes for the STRB-90. Some choppers sitting in here, some more STRBs coming in. That's probably the rest of his force there. Su-27S, let's see if they can get that. Yep, scored another kill, again with the big news. These things have proven their worth over and over and over, and they still have 12 missiles left between the two of them. The reason why I personally never considered these things for a job like this is because I'm thinking too traditional. And by that I mean that this ship can be used in a role like this, but I'm usually considering ship in an anti-ship engagement, and that's something there what the Baeknu is not very good at, because it only has bad CWIS, it has 10% ECM, it's a major anti-ship missile magnet, and it's not very easy to defend against it. But as a supporting ship like this, it can do wonders. Challenge for you guys, by the way. Let me know in the comments how you would take out this unit. What would you use if you were Red 4 and you had the capabilities that Red 4 has in this area? Large open terrain, bit of tree cover there. What would you use and how would you apply it? He's lost another Marder here. See, and this is why I usually work with smoke screens. Comment just came in on another video a couple days back that said if you cannot play without artillery or without mortars, you're deploying noob tactics. I very heavily disagree with that. Smoke screens by mortars are not noob tactics. They are a strategic or tactic way, depending on how you want to use it, to advance. And this smokescreen here could have prevented the ATGMs that keep flying out of this forest. And let's see what they have in there. One group of concours, but these guys have killed off quite some transports already. And even one group of concours is cheaper than one Marder 2, so these guys already earned their worth. And that's why I want to use smokescreens. And I'm quite surprised that Maverick didn't do it. He does have some mortars nearby. Sorry, not Maverick, Death Charge. He does have some mortars nearby. And let's see, they are taking some artillery fire here at the Baeknus. Baeknu, I believe, was resupplying very close to the ship. It does have 12 out of 12 missiles, and the Hellfires on the STRB-90 are also resupplied. Hopefully this helicopter's not going to take too much fire. This is extremely risky, what I'm seeing here. He's moving in with 2 Leopard 2A5s. If you're relatively sure that there is nothing hiding in these forests that can hurt your Leopard 2A5 or that can kill it, go with it. Personally, if I had VDV-90 in here, I would have killed those Leopard 2A5s as they were shooting these units, because now you have a flank shot on these tanks. Let's say that you are sitting in this stretch of woods. You're looking at that tank and you're going, sight shot on the armor of a Leopard 2A5. I can go through that. That's only 9 points of armor. You can lose a tank like that. And moreover, you can lose 2 Leopard 2A5s very quickly. So personally, I think this is bad play by Maverick, and I would always go in with recon first. Get reconnaissance infantry close. Get a recon helo nearby. Get a Fuchs reconnaissance vehicle nearby. because Death Charge is now making it quite easy for the enemy to take out this vehicle. And I know this potentially, it's very unlikely, because with this kind of setup this late in the game, you're pretty likely to kill anything that decides to stand in your way. Still, you never know what is lurking behind these trees. You don't know what has survived the onslaught of your bombers, your artillery, and your early infantry. So again, be very careful if you decide to deploy these tactics. SDRB-90H is pushing in now. And as you can see, Blue 4 is approaching that 8,000 point mark relatively quickly. Napalm Bomber came in as well as the grenades from this one. And he's deploying exactly what I wanted him to do here. He's deploying one SDRB-90 in front, with a couple of them behind. And this way you make sure that whatever transport or tank you're engaging, this one will fire its Hellfire missile at. The others will not. And personally I would even have disabled those Hellfires on the other transports, just to make sure that they wouldn't accidentally launch their missiles all at the same target, and it being, for example, a 5-point transport. Unfortunately, that's exactly what's happening here. He launched his missile at a 5-point transport, killed the 15-point infantry inside, just a Ural. But you lost 3 Hellfires in the process. And that's something that I'm always looking at. Can you make this kill as efficiently as possible? Not only not taking damage, but also expending the least amount of missiles. Took out another unit there, but that was the kill by the other SDRB-90H. And you can see just how annoying these things can be, because Red 4 just does not manage to kill them. Taking out some more 15 pointers there. This is another nice target for 90 points, and there it goes. And the rest, yeah, they're just cleaning up here. I don't think that we're going to see any kind of interesting play here. But just look at the amount of units on the map here. Lots and lots of units. And some of these units could have pushed up a long time ago. Of course, it's easy for me to say, because I'm not actually playing the game, I'm just commenting on it. But these mortars, for example, could have helped here against the infantry. They could have taken out the transports. BGS here by Maverick could have pushed up. I would just start walking them towards this position. Because even though the SDRB-90 have exceptional optics, having a bit of recon and infantry on the ground is actually going to make a major difference. It's going to help. Interesting here, the Tornado decided to go after a helicopter instead, because it couldn't find any radar target. And good play here by Logard, who only activated his book at the last moment, when the Seed had already veered off. Seed, by the way, I've seen some people write it in comments, it is not S-E-E-D, it's not as in seed of a plant. It's S-E-A-D. It stands for Suppression of Enemy Air Defenses, and that's exactly what those things do. Engage radar sources or radiation sources, such as radars, and disable them. So take them out with one of those anti-radar missiles, or anti-radiation missiles. I think the HARM stands for Heavy Anti-Radiation Missile, but if you know what exactly it stands for, just correct me in the comments of this vid. Alpha Jet's coming in, doing some more napalm bombing runs, trying to force everybody out of this forest. And there you go. I'm going to start pushing this up a bit, because they're almost at the 8,000 minute mark, or at the 8,000 point mark. ECR took it out. There's another book there. And there we go, 8,000 points versus only 4,000 for Red 4. Death Charge has gotten an absolutely ludicrous kill-death ratio here of 5-1. He killed 5 times the points that he lost. So very, very good play here. Let's see if there are any superstars in his lineup. I suppose you could call this Bake New a superstar, because looking at the kind of air kills that this thing has for only a 75 point ship, that's a lot. SU-25, SU-27S is expensive, MiG-31 is an interceptor, again expensive. The rest of these units all look pretty average. Interesting, Ka-52 kill by the automatic. Ka-52 should have been in range with seed missiles before the automatic could open up. Lots and lots of BTRD kills. Volschemjäger did a great job. Yep, there you go, the MLU kill of a transport, as well as 2 tanks. This Leopard got his money worth, killing off some command infantry. And look at this kill. STRB-90, Tunguska, another Tunguska, a couple of Concours M transports, Fagots. These things really earned the point value that you invest in them. That is, if you play them correctly. Okay, so with that, that's the end of the video. I hope you liked it. I have one final announcement to make, and that's that I have now set up a Patreon page. So if you like what I'm doing, you can support me by just donating a few bucks a month, just to help me keep going and to keep delivering you the content. Keep in mind, I'm not charging you for the content, nor will I do so. It's just you helping me keeping my channel going. For example, investing in a new graphics card, so I can actually start streaming in full HD 1080p. So with that, if you want to know more about that, if you want to help me out, a link to that's in the description down below. And what you can also find in the description is the links to sending in your own replays, your own gameplays, and your own decks, as well as the deck code for this video. This mechanized Landjet deck was created by Death Charge, and he provided the deck code. So if you want to try and replicate what he did here, the deck code in the description down below. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.